I had this idea after watching one of OU Insider's streams with Brandon Drum and Parker Thune. Then I did meticulous research to create the perfect list. Without further ado, I present the official if each SEC team was a character from The Office. When you think of Dunder Mifflin Scranton, you have to start with Michael Scott. Sure, sometimes he's a bit jittery and likes to exaggerate. He has some ego and is currently facing a midlife crisis, but don't tell him that. With that said, he has a lot of heart and will put his head out there for the office when it matters. Oh, he's also been around for a while, so while some of his methods are tried and true, some are a bit outdated. Probably the first thing you see when you enter the office is Pam. Pam is definitely pretty and is also down to earth. There's a lot to like about her. She has big goals, she's pretty funny, and she has a big heart. But she does have her weaknesses as well, such as her fluctuating confidence and her inability to stick with one job. Everyone kind of roots for Pam because of her youth, but sometimes she needs to get out of her own way. Jim is good at basketball. He doesn't care for his job much, which pays the bills, but occasionally he tries and does all right. He's also very funny and has a thing with Pam. Dwight Schrute has been at the office for a while. He really cares about his job as assistant to the regional manager. Dwight has been here a long time, but has a unique way of doing things. If no one else celebrates Belschnickel, they are missing out. He schemes often, but most of the time it doesn't really work out. On occasion, though, he can be brilliant. Extremely loyal and a good friend, Dwight is someone you want in your corner, and a surprisingly great party host. Mose. Andy Bernard has a really good degree, and to him that means a lot. When it comes to his job, and really most things going on in the office, everyone can tell he's behind the curve, which makes him likable by nature. Oh, and he really likes music. Robert California is one of the best interviews you've ever had. He's extremely intelligent and knows the right buttons to press with people. He's also been around the block for a while. For this job, he may even be overqualified. But if you were to talk to his previous employers, you may find out he's had way more stops than he let on, as well as a bit of a wild personality. Good thing you don't do that. He's the cream of the crop at the moment. Phyllis has been at the office as long as pretty much anyone. At times she can overstep, but generally she gets along well with the office. She also has the occasional moment where she dominates the conversation, like at her wedding with Bob Vance. Being older, it seems like she enjoys the banter at work and doesn't necessarily take her paycheck as seriously as most other employees. Her and Michael have a long history going back to high school, and they get along most of the time, but occasionally things get ugly. Jan is Michael's boss, and they kind of have an off and on thing. She is fierce and can be extremely hostile on a whim, which makes her less liked in the office. She also wants to talk business really badly, even though she is less put together than it appears. Her personal struggles tend to trickle into her business, most of the time for the worst. Still, she makes more money than almost everyone in the office and is pretty competent when it comes to work, so she is almost always talked about, even if it isn't first or in the best light. Jo Bennett is the head of Sabre. She likes to do things her own way, is very aggressive, and a straight shooter. These make her respected by many in the office, although they don't necessarily like her business practices. She has that southern grit to her, but she does have a foot all over. She also tends to be a bit flighty. She will show up unnoticed and not be seen for a long time after. Still, no one can deny her cumulative track record. She is generally competent, loud and proud, unapologetic, and feisty if you get on her bad side. Stay on her good side, and she will level with you and make a strong ally. Meredith Palmer is kind of crazy and also a little gross, but if you get to know her, she's got a sense of humor and is pretty nice. She seems to have to do more to land in the conversation than most of the office. Daryl Philbin is pretty cool. He's the warehouse manager, though, so he isn't involved in conversation as much as the rest of the office. He's worked at Dunder Mifflin for a while, but not close to the longest, and is pretty good friends with Jim. He does have some skill and aspiration, but has never really put it together, and lacks the qualifications that many in the office have. Daryl is also pretty good at basketball, but not when it counts. Ryan Howard would tell you he's been here forever, but he's just a temp. He does have a lot of potential, and he works hard to let you know it. Ryan can be more normal at times, but his thing with Kelly is really weird. He also doesn't like you calling him out on stuff. Even with all that, Ryan is someone you can level with if you really need something and you have a common objective. Otherwise, it might be best to see how he turns out in a few years. Oscar Martinez is well put together and smart. He has good ideas and communicates them well, but can be arrogant when talking to his peers. When talking to management, though, that confidence fades. Oscar does his job well, but he is just in accounting, which is an overstaffed department. When he becomes the center of conversation, which happens sparingly, he gets a big head. Most of the time, though, Oscar lays low and is well liked by most of the office. Gabe Lewis is one of the newest people in the office. While he does have connections and qualifications, he thinks he already runs the show, which turns many off. He has a huge vendetta against Pete and Andy. And while no one in the office really knows Pete, everyone is on Andy's side. He often comes off whiny, but Gabe's connections with big figures and future potential cannot be denied. Pete is new to the office. He seems well put together and pretty down to earth, so most people have no issues with him. However, aside from his feud with Gabe due to Aaron, no one really knows Pete or expects much from him. So there you have it. Will the employees at Dunder Mifflin occupy the same roles at this time next year? Who knows? But for now, the staff is set with shipping about to begin.